What do you want to be? What do you want to go by?
We can just call me Jay.
Jay?
Yeah, that works.
Jay? All right. So we've got Jay back here in the shop. Hey, why don't you? Well, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, right? Because inquiring minds are going to want to know. Okay. So obviously, there's a fucking speaker for our podcast and everything. I am Steve. We have Fish. We have Eddie. We have Ash. And what do you want to go by? Hey, Mikey. Bear. You can't be called Bear because I already have a bear. I call him mostly Douglas, but Frank. Frank. All right.
I mean, that's what he's changing.
And Frank. I love it. And then Anthony's upstairs. All right. So, welcome back to the shop. It has been a very interesting, journey here at the shop, right? With growth and people coming and going and this, that, and the other. But you've come back.
Yeah.
Jay has come back to the shop. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, okay? Because a lot of people starting out, like, they want to know, right? So what was your, why tattoos? Why?
Honestly, it kind of just felt like what I was led to. It was more like originally art was more what I was drawn to at first, but then it kind of just felt like a path that I always wanted to try, but it was kind of closed off.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of gatekeeping with becoming a apprentice. That is there, and there's also a lot of stigma based on being a feminine presenting person.
Yeah.
Doing tattooing.
So what has been the most challenge? Shut up. We're trying to record back here in the background. Shut the fuck up. We pick you up, you know. Go back that way and talk. Yeah, go that way. Go to another room. So what has been the most difficult thing for you being in this field? Like what do you, being, you know, your hometown, like all that, like what do you find most difficult being here?
Honestly, I find that there is still a lot of stigma with being a tattooist.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people that think that, you know, it's a sinful thing, but for me, it's that you decorate your temple in a way that makes you proud of it. And so,
do you find that it's harder here in your hometown being a tattooist? Like, do you think that, do you feel that you have an advantage being here in your hometown, or are you at a disadvantage because people know who you are?
In some ways, it can be an advantage because people know who you are, but in other ways, it can be a disadvantage because
people know who you are.
People know who you are. They expect a specific art style from you, even if that isn't your art style anymore.
Yeah, like that. And as an individual, not just like an apprentice, because as an apprentice, like when your mentor tells you to do the thing,
yeah,
you're going to do everything in your power to do the thing, right? This art style, this way. I feel that it's not until you've been an apprentice for a little bit that you start to develop your own art style. You start to develop your own way of tattooing and your own way of drawing. Like every artist out there is unique, and in that regard, like Xerox copy machines, I've never wanted anybody to be a Xerox copy machine. You know, I've never wanted somebody to look at something and go, okay, I'm going to draw it exactly like that. There are tattooists out there who can look at a portrait and Xerox copy that like directly on skin. And I have a huge respect for those tattooists who can do that.
Yeah, like hyper-realistic tattooists, have my respect, but I don't do that style.
Right. So what is your style? Like what do you akin your style to?
I would put it towards like both anime and animation.
Yeah.
So like it could be anywhere to the fine detail work of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure down to Chowder
Chowder.
or like Adventure Time, because those styles are just really fun to tattoo and they age really well.
Yeah.
And trad is always fun.
Oh, traditional tattoos, I think, will always like I feel, and these are just my opinions. Like they don't represent other tattoo shops out there in the fucking world. I feel that you need to at least have a tattooist who knows some form of traditional tattooing, because I think that that's just like a time honored style that it will never go out of style. You've got your Pinterest tattoos, you've got your little TikTok tattoos. Like you have all of those tattoos that look good for a photo, but you always see your military people, especially like World War II, and older, like in all the images, who have all those beautiful traditional pieces. And even though that person is in their 90s, like you can look at that tattoo that they got when they were 18 years old, and you can still see what it was supposed to have been: a ship, an eagle, globe and anchor. You can see that, and I always feel that your more traditional or cartoony pieces hold up so well.
Because though I do love hyper detailed pieces that have a lot of fine lines, they don't always hold up. Depending on your skin type, it could bleed together, or you might be fine. It honestly depends, person to person.
Yeah, everybody's different. Nobody heals the same. Every skin tone heals, differently. Everybody ages differently. What has been like your most challenging? Because obviously you worked here before,
Yeah.
right? So what tattoo just sent you over the edge, and it was like, I never want to do this again. Like, I never want to do this type of tattoo again.
Well, I loved doing this piece, but once I was done with it, it was a pain. But it was a lady made out of small detailed flowers.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, where she had like her whole body silhouette, and it was meant to be a nude portrait of a woman, but it was created out of like vines of flowers, but they were all done with like a 5.
That tattoo came in and was healed up, and that looked so good, by the way. I
Good.
wish you could have seen it healed, because that just...
I'm glad. I was so worried that was going to heal poorly.
No, it was awesome. I loved it. What's been your favorite tattoo that you've done so far?
This is going to sound a little narcissistic, I guess, but it's been the tattoo that I did on my shin.
Mm-hmm.
My Reaper tattoo is probably my favorite one that I've done.
So for the people who don't know what we're talking about, elaborate.
So Reaper from Overwatch is the character I decided to do for this, and it's like a man with a cowl like Death, and then an owl skull instead of, a human skull, and it has 2 crossed sides behind it.
And you just recently, so Ash just tattooed you, your forearm, and what little guy is that?
Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls, and it's the one version of him that has 6 arms instead of just 2.
Dude, so that's what Jay does, right? And it's little characters like that. If you're ever in the area, 626 Main Street, Ravenna, Kentucky, 40472, and you're into stuff like that, like, Jay has come back to us and is tattooing clients that specifically want to be tattooed by Jay. Maybe walk-ins, definitely front desk, right? But yeah, like that's what we've got going on here. What about this particular shop? Because I'm sure you've been to other tattoo shops, but what about Red River you walked in and you're like, this is it. This is my home. I want to be here.
Honestly, just the vibe, and also just having as much art as there is, having, you know, just a nice, comforting, warm energy around is nice. Because some shops don't really have as much decoration, they don't have as much personality, and it kind of just feels sterile and less homey that way.
So when you very first came to me, what's it been, like 3 or 4 years now?
About
4 years?
3.5.
3.5, almost 4 years.
Almost
So
four,
when
yeah.
you very first came in, and we were in a little 500 square foot space at the
Yeah.
time. We had enough room for 2 stations and a sanitation room.
You could maybe sneeze.
You could maybe sneeze, right? Like it was so small, right? And like the bathroom was like the back door, and like you had to go through another room to go to the bathroom. And that was like the building's bathroom, right? So we were sharing a bathroom with another business up front. There was only one bathroom. So awesome. But so when you came in that little 500 square foot space and you rounded the corner, what piece in here, if it's here, what piece caught your eye and you were like, this is it? This is it.
I'd have to say it's probably the bird skull.
The bird skull?
Is part of a human. So.
Nice. Nice. So for somebody who has never been to Red River Tattoo, what's and who they're looking for a shop that is LGBTQ plus friendly, that, you know, like what do you say to those people for the very first time coming in here? Like,
I mean, frankly, first I'm like, if I'm not sure, I might ask, you know, what's your name, what's your pronouns, and then ask you, you know, what we're going to be doing. Because even if I, you know, might be able to guess, I prefer to know, because I don't want to just be a jackass,
right.
you know.
And do you think that we're pretty okay on that?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
if you know that those are their pronouns, you're going to use them.
What's a red flag? Like, you've obviously, again, had been to other tattoo shops. What's a red flag when you walk into a tattoo shop that you're like, I don't fucking think so?
One thing that is definitely a red flag for me is how, like, dirty things are visibly. If I can see a lot of dust, if I can see that the floors haven't been cleaned in a while, if the trash is overflowing, you know, I'm just like, absolutely not. I'm gonna get an infection. Goodbye.
See ya.
And also, if I look at the inks, and some of them are not written in English on their labels, that tells me that those are not regulation inks.
You've seen those. You don't have to say where, but you've seen those?
A handful.
Wow. That's
And then you also see ones that you will, like, if you can see that the expiration date's passed, no. Or if the bottle looks like it's swelled at any point.
oof. So
Because
like
that
those are all
means
red
that,
flags to
yeah,
you?
for me it's like, if the materials look wrong, if things aren't clean, it tells me that something here isn't quite right.
What's a tattoo shop green flag for you?
Green flags are like making sure that they talk through the entire process with you beforehand, so that you know what they're about to do, you know how the healing process is going to go, because it's better to talk about that before you've even tattooed, so you know, like, if you're going to be putting Tegaderm on them, if you're going to be putting, like, the ink beetle stuff, or if you're just going to be putting a bandage of some kind, you need to know if they're allergic. And if, you know, they've made sure that you've eaten first, that's also a pretty good green flag for me, because if they don't make sure that you've eaten, that probably means that they don't give a shit if you pass out or not.
Green flags, man. I've always got a bowl of candy.
Yeah.
I've always got drinks. and I think we're constantly checking up on each other. If we've got people in the stations, we're constantly going back and forth. Do you guys need anything? Is everything okay?
It's like, are you guys feeling woozy or anything?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
do you
Like,
need a minute?
oh yeah. I mean, and that's that. As an owner, owner operator, to me that's so important. I've been in situations where the tattooist is just there to tattoo. They don't give a shit about your feelings. Or your front desk doesn't come and check on your tattooist and check on the clients, because sometimes as a tattooist you're so focused, you're so hyper focused on doing good on the tattoo that sometimes you forget to check on your client. So it's always nice to have front desk or whatever, or another artist not tattooing or piercing or what have you, to come in and say, hey, is everything okay? Do you got? And then that kind of snaps us out of reality and like, oh yeah, do you need a break or anything?
Or even
I always like
sometimes if
that.
you're focused enough, you don't even realize that you need a break.
Yeah, dude.
Because sometimes you'll snap out of the focus and then you'll feel that cramp in your spine and you're like, oh, I do need a break.
Man, yeah, I think that we we strive to do what the client is looking for, that sometimes we forget to check on ourselves. Yeah. That's, yeah, man. Green flags, green flags. Do you prefer this location over our old location?
I do.
Yeah.
There's a lot more sunlight. There's a lot more space to move around. And there's a lot more room to decorate, because you had to put up a lot of your stuff before. You couldn't just have it out and about.
No.
And now everywhere is kind of just got decorations.
So one of the things so we do piercings here at Red River Tattoo, but because of the influx of tattooing, I do believe that we are getting rid of our piercings, and I'm putting in a third tattoo station, and there have been talks about a fourth tattoo station. So that'll be like one of the largest stations in here, while still maintaining a break room for everybody for our microwave and whatnot. I think by far, out of the 4 locations that we've been in, this has been the biggest overhaul. Like, this was, you remember when I very first bought it.
Yep.
Oh.
And then having to do the remodel process and painting everything.
And so we got the keys. June the 5th is when we got the key for this. And then August the 18th of 2022 was when we opened this location. And when we got inspected and like we opened, right?
So, pretty much busted ass to finish it.
Oh, it was awful. I remember that night before inspection.
So much dust.
Dude, the glitter.
The mica powder in the air. Oh my god.
So, like, the flies, I mean, obviously they come in where it's colder, whatever, right? So, the mica powder that we put in the fucking enamel for the floors that were done, like, the night prior, right? Just dry enough to walk on it, but not dry enough to put anything heavy on it, right? And you could see in the sunlight the flies would fly off, and there's mica powder all over the flies, and they look like little fucking fairies taking off and just like leaving their dust. It's like, I'm still finding mica powder in places that I know I've dusted and I've cleaned, and I'm like, where did this come from?
They just rubbed their little feet on it again, I guess.
Like, where did this come from? It's crazy. It's insane. Like, oh man. To this day, I think I still vacuum when I get mica powder out of the front still. It's nuts, dude.
That stuff never comes up.
It never comes up. And we're going to use mica powder again for the 4th tattoo station. So there's going to be here, I wouldn't say here within the next couple of months, but, maybe this year we start on our 4th station back there in the back, because, not only do we have you back, but now we've got Cam here as an apprentice, and, we don't know, apprenticeships are different for everybody. I think that's so important for people who are very first starting out. That apprenticeships can literally be what you make it. You know, it's either a journey or it's absolute hell. You know,
Or sometimes it's a little bit of both.
oh, absolutely both. But it is what you make it. And for the apprentices out there who are just now starting, like, yeah, you know, you've got to take it into consideration that your mentor or mentors, the people that are ahead of you, know, you could draw. Awesome, you're a digital artist, wonderful.
But that does not mean you will be able to tattoo right away.
Right, that doesn't mean anything. Knowing the fundamentals of,
Though it did.
yes, it does help. So I would rather have somebody who knows how to draw versus somebody like an art major, right? I would rather you know how to draw and like have a basic concept of color theory versus an art major who's been in school and they know art. Just because you're an art major does not make you a tattooist, I feel, you know? Like, I feel that there's a fine line between tattooist and artist. And if you're an artist, then you're not a tattooist.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a tattooist, the art comes with time. You know, like you learn that. You learn negative spacing, you learn color theory, like you learn what is going to look like garbage later on, you know?
Which I can admit that I am an artist 1st. And that I will go for what is artistic on paper, but if I'm doing it on your skin, I'm going to tell you that it might look different as I'm doing it so that it will heal right.
Yes.
Because I will prefer it to look different on paper than I prefer it to look on skin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know that it'll age different. And
absolutely.
I mean, I was an art major at one point, and it was the worst.
Have been like one of the easiest art majors that I have ever fucking had. Because people that come in here, well, I'm an art major, they don't want to, they think that they know how to tattoo, and it's like, no.
I came in here and I asked you for your help. I knew that I knew jack fucking shit about tattooing.
Yeah.
I knew that I knew how to do art.
Yeah.
And I could do art all day long. But I knew I didn't know what I was doing and that I needed to listen about it.
Dude.
Because it doesn't matter what you know about art.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Because
like, that goes out the door.
Yeah, because needles don't give a shit. They are way different.
Oh, yeah, way different.
Anything else.
Oh, yes. And you know, fine, it might transfer great on paper, but if you're going to put the exact same thing that you just did on paper on somebody's skin,
it might not look right, and so I take out parts of it and I change colors because I know that those colors aren't going to look right.
I say dumb down the detail.
Yeah, you gotta make it tattooable.
Oh, absolutely. Have you found that, like, once you got into tattooing, and because I know that when I teach, I can show you, but I can't fucking explain it worth anything. Like, I'm like, let me show you, right?
Yeah.
So
I do better with being shown how to do it versus explaining, because if you explain it to me, I'm gonna do it a completely different way.
Yep.
Because it's how you've said.
Yep.
But
it's not how you.
It's not how you said because you didn't specify.
Right. Did you find that transitioning from artist to tattooist was hard?
Weirdly enough, not really. Because
was it easier?
It kind of felt like whenever you would blend onto skin, it was like blending with ink.
Yeah.
On paper. So it kind of just transfers in a different way.
It's just alive. Your canvas is alive instead of, being flat.
And you have to be comfortable with an elastic canvas because that's the partial learning curve, is that you have to learn how elastic your canvas actually is.
Oh yeah. And tattooing an older person, a person who rides motorcycles all day without protection, who is out there working in the sun all the time, who's in construction.
Or even just the neck is a rough spot.
Oh,
because
God,
it's
yeah.
like trying to pull water.
Oh, absolutely. And once, you figure out how to stretch and how, because there's a 3-point stretch, right? And I'm like, stretch and pull, and anybody who knows 3-point stretch, good on you. If you don't know what a 3-point stretch is and you're trying to tattoo from home, you're a piece of shit. And I'll tell you why you're a piece of shit, okay? You find advice for anybody who is trying to get an apprenticeship, okay? It was easy for the people who work here with me to come in and get an apprenticeship because I had availability. People I had either fired or made walk away from the tattoo shop opened the way for the people who are here to be here, okay? But I'm telling you right now, if you're looking for an apprenticeship, now it takes time sometimes.
It took me 2 years.
Okay? It takes time to find the right tattoo shop, to go in and hang out at the tattoo shop. If the tattooist is busy and you see that garbage needs to be taken out of the front, not in the tattoo station, right? But like the garbage needs to be taken out in the waiting area. Or if your tattooist is busy setting up and they forgot to do paperwork, hey, I'll do the paperwork for you. Oh, you're tattooing? I'm here hanging out. Let me answer that phone for you. So the more you show up to a tattoo shop that you jive with and you're good with, the more that they'll see that, oh, they're actually spending their time doing this. Maybe one day you're sitting there drawing and painting and somebody looks at you and goes, hey, do you want an apprenticeship? It's rare, but it does happen. Look for a tattoo shop that needs your help, that, is looking for somebody, and don't expect to get paid for that. Because as an apprentice, I can tell you right now, you don't get paid for an apprenticeship. 9 times out of 10, a tattoo shop is going to make you pay for that apprenticeship. Mm-hmm. Because we want to see if you're serious or not. Are you going to waste our fucking time? And if you are, we're going to get paid for it.
Which, the way you ended up with me was a bit unconventional.
Very unconventional. And I'm not mad. Since Jay has not been here, we talk about Jay often. How awesome it was that Jay was here, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And now Jay's back. And it's just like, it's a huge weight lifted off of my shoulders, I know for sure. Because I know eventually Fish won't be here. Fish volunteers his time to come in and help the shop. He hangs out, I fucking feed him, whatever, right? I love you too. But like Fish does a lot, right? You did a lot when you were here. Eddie does a lot when he's here. So like everybody has a role here, and it helps the shop function in ways that just, but when I lose him, and I'm not picking on you guys, but when I lose him and Eddie starts working, then William and Ash are going to be by themselves. I need somebody who knows what to do in the shop. If Fish isn't here, you know what to do,
Yep.
Then you and William are in charge, If William's not here, then you and Ash are in charge, So having somebody here that knows how to run the shop and to take care of things is like, it's so ideal, Unfortunately, you do get those shitty-ass clients that are just like, what do we do? How do I handle the situation? And you try to go above and beyond and help these clients that there's just no help. You just got to tell them, just get the fuck out. Just leave. Don't ever come back. And you were in a situation like that once before where, this client came in, spilled a fucking coffee drink all over the fucking place. I'm like, awesome, cool. And then said that William and Jay were stealing credit card information.
We stole her card, is what she said, and it was in her front pocket the whole time.
The whole time. Like, I had to replay the cameras.
We had to call the police.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Oh, dude, it was it. But fortunately, situations like that, like, harden you up for the next person. It's like, okay, listen,
It's like, listen, dude, if you don't chill the fuck out, I'm going to make you chill the fuck out.
Oh yeah, and that's so important to to have a boss and to have coworkers that have your back.
Yeah.
There's a right way and a wrong way for us to act and for clients to act.
Yeah.
And if those clients, we're being good, but those clients are just giving a shit. It's nice to say, listen, Steve, this is what's going on. It's like, handle it,
It's like, all right, all
handle it,
bets are off then.
do what you need to do.